All right. Kevin, we can't hear you.
Hello, everyone. Looks like we're live, and today's topic is going to be work-life balance. And there's Timothy.
Hello.
So, how are you guys doing?
Good, good.
Hey.
Good morning, everyone. Good evening, everyone. And everyone else in between. Welcome.
Yep. And glad everyone can join us tonight. So we're excited to have you. You still can't hear me?
By the way?
Yep.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
I can hear you, Aldric. Aldric, say something real quick.
Hey, can you hear me?
Okay, good. I got all of you.
Yep.
So we're all good?
Yep.
Yep.
Do it.
Okay, great. Okay. Looks like people are starting to hop on. I want to say hi to Greg. Jonas, he was on my show the earlier today, and then it looks like Jacqueline just got on. So, hey everyone, thanks for joining us. And this is one of Aldric's favorite topics. You know,
Good try.
So, work-life balance, right? So, what does that really mean? And I know we have different perspectives, right? So I wanted to hear from the East as well as from the West. And looks like Timothy dropped off for a minute, so he might hop back on. So we're having maybe some tech issues. But there's Timothy. Let's just a second here. So I want to hear, from let's start with the family guy, right, Jeremy? So what does work-life balance mean to you? Since you're a corporate guy, so you still have a corporate job, and then you have kids as well. So how do you what does that mean? The word work-life balance, right?
Oh, it's trying. You probably could relate to this as trying to juggle everything in the air, and hopefully, you do not drop any ball. It's between, if these different aspects of your life are balls that you juggle, they'll probably be, me myself will be one. The kids, family will be one. The wife will be a individual separate item. Work. Yeah, that will be like the four that you're trying to juggle in the air. So it's really about keeping all four in the air and not drop any one of them. So try doing that, right? Usually you see jugglers, they do three, so you have like four in the air. Yeah, it's not easy. It's not easy. So that's what it means, right? Keeping everything in the air, nothing drops onto the floor, and at the same time, hopefully all of them are well on a good path. Kids starting well, works going fine, wife's happy, everyone's happy, right? So that's kind of what it means to me in a nutshell.
That's good. So what about you, Timothy? What are your thoughts on the whole idea of work-life balance?
So, work-life balance. It's an interesting topic, right? And for me, I think it's really just being happy with however much you're working and what you're getting back from it. So, and what I mean is, like, if you are working a lot, but you are earning a lot, and you're still comfortable with the amount of time you're spending with your family, then there's nothing wrong with that. At the same time, if you're working a lot and you're feeling stressed and you're unhappy, then yeah, you have a work-life balance issue. And it could have everything to do with the job or the task you're working on. That's where I think the issue comes in on a work-life balance perspective. So for me, it's just, if you're happy with what you're doing and you're happy at home, that's work-life balance. If you're unhappy with what you're doing and you're unhappy at home, then you got to change something. That's the way I feel.
That's great. Well, Aldric, let's hear from you.
Yeah, probably not going to hear any endorsements from me in terms of work life, but I'm going to keep it that way anyway. just from a more principled way of thinking about things, I think all of us need to have a bit more balance in the way we think about work-life balance. My point is, we need to have a more balanced way of thinking about work-life balance, because everyone around us, okay, that's too audacious, right? Everyone around me, it's one-sided. It's one-sided. We need work-life balance. We need 9 to 6. And after that, I'm going off because I need to take care of my family. I need to take care of this. I need to take care of that, right? But on Fridays, when you get off, you don't really attend to those. You go for a beer. You go meet up with friends. You go, I don't know, right? So I think first thing is a balanced viewpoint on work-life balance is very important. Second thing, it's not about a work-life balance. It's just a very mechanical way of living our lives. The first question to ask is, what do you want to achieve? What are your goals? What are your ambitions? And how big are they? And if they're so big and exciting that it drives you every day to a point of obsession, you have found your balance, even though you're working 18, 19 hours a day. You have, because you are into your motion, you're living your life. Mm-hmm. That's what I truly believe in. I hate to say this, but consider the kind of profile of people who keep talking about, I need my work-life balance. Do they love what they do? Fundamentally, do you love what you do? If you do, why are you Kwok watching? My point, why are you Kwok watching? Because we all know, we are all guys. When we were younger, we grew up playing video games of any sort. And when we are really, really engaged, obsessed, clearing the stages, beating the big boss, and then the next big boss, and the next big boss, and the next big boss, time flies. Mm-hmm. It's engagement, and we are willing to do it. We are obsessed, right? Would you tell yourself, 9 to 6, I need some work-life balance so that I can do my homework? No, that's what your parents tell you, right? That's what my parents told me. No, I won't do that because I totally enjoy what I do. I'll do it to a point of obsession, right? So I think, to me, work-life balance as a topic should not be a principal topic. That principal topic should be, what do you want in life? Literally, what do you want in life, right? Mm-hmm. And if you just want to get by, it's fine too. It's fine too. There are people who are very family-oriented and they think social. That's fine. But please understand this. If there is someone who goes the other direction, who's obsessed with what they do because they have a view or a vision to be realized, they make their sacrifice for the first 5 or 10 years of their careers, and they experience exponential success 10 years later. Please do not bitch, lament, complain over social media to say that, oh gosh, my peer has made it so far, I'm still stuck as a corporate rep in my office, and I'm still just a manager or senior manager. Guys, perspective, you wasted 10 years. That guy didn't. He sacrificed it. So that's my point. And like I mentioned, I really don't have any good thing to say about this notion, idea, whatever thing about this work-life balance. Okay, it's just my firing shot.
Tell us how you really feel, Aldric.
I'm trying to be very calm. I'm trying to.
I hate to see you mad.
So I kind of like what Aldric said, right? I think it comes down to when we talk about work-life balance, right? And so here's how I feel, right? At the end of the day, this show's about perspective, right? So it really depends on your perspective, right? I don't think there's a right or a wrong, right? So I am very guilty. I was the guy that was spending a lot of hours. By nature, I am a workaholic. I work all the time. I'm constantly thinking of business ideas, and I'm constantly on my phone. I love to research. I love to look at my competition. I spend a lot of time because these are my passions. I enjoy it. So when I was the corporate guy, I would get off work and I would do the exact same thing. So I would do my 8 to 5 job, and then I would come home and start looking at, hey, what kind of hustle can I do on the side? You know, and it could be selling random stuff online all the way to, hey, maybe I can buy this car and then I can sell it. Or, hey, what about maybe flipping houses, whatever, right? And then my wife's like, hey, you know, and you all met Jen, and she's like,
hey, Kevin,
why don't you
don't forget there are plates in the sink. They're waiting for you, you know. Okay, please go do your duty as a husband.
Well, she's always like, hey, so what's your hobby? And I go, this is kind of my hobby, you know, because I enjoy this stuff. And, you know, and we have a really good marriage, and she understands, you know, how my brain works and the things that I enjoy, right? But at the end of the day, it's so true, because I call it work-life integration. So you learn how to prioritize different things, right? Your relationships, your business, your friendships. You just have to learn how to balance it, right? And the challenge is there's no such thing as an 8 to 5 if you want be monetary success, because it takes a lot more, you know. It takes work, you know. Social media takes work, LinkedIn takes work, and if you only have 8-hour days that you set aside for yourself Monday through Friday, man, Aldric's absolutely right. You know, don't complain about it, because you set the bar for yourself that, hey, it's okay where you are. And if you want to get somewhere else, then you better invest in more time. It's all about that scale. You know, what am I going to sacrifice to get this, right? All the successful people out there, they put in the work, right? Majority of them put in the work at some point in their life, right? We always hear the wins, right? But we don't hear all the struggles they went through before they get there, because prior to the wins, they weren't famous. You guys didn't care about them.
Right.
You know, when they were broke,
I have
no one
a very
cared.
interesting point to share about that one, but you finish off first.
Yep. So when you're broke, no one cares. But then after you're broke, then all you know, and now you're successful, then now everyone's interested. Oh, how did he get there? Oh, let's hear his story, you know. But then you don't hear prior to that, it wasn't so balanced, you know. You know, Steve Jobs was not a nice guy. You know, if you watch his videos, he sacrificed his daughter. There was a lot of things he didn't do right, in the eyes of a lot of people, and he was judged for that. They made a lot of movies about it. But at the end of the day, that's the path he chose for himself, right? So I think, you know, it all depends on perspective and what you want in life, right? Go ahead, Aldric. What were you saying?
I had a very interesting experience that someone was actually sending me a direct message over LinkedIn saying that after initial connection, it's like, wow, it's the first message, the first one. Hi, Aldric. Second message, wow. Third message, you are such a successful overnight phenom. I was like almost fainted. Like, I'm sorry, like, do you just say overnight phenom? Like, which night are you referring to? Like last night or 2019, some night back, or like, and I gave him a very respectful response to say that, oh yeah, thank you. And this overnight phenom thing, it really happened overnight because I had like 5 tweets a day for every day. I had like 2 content posts on LinkedIn a day, every day. And maybe after computing all the numbers or the number of contents I produce, yeah, I'm quite an overnight phenom. So which night are you referring to? He goes me.
It was just a compliment.
Aldric totally went at the guy.
I'm just saying, I think people, we filter the kind of things that we see and we hear, and that we tend to just filter off all the sweat equity, the hard work, and the sacrifice and whatsoever. And we just look at the results and say, oh wow, what an overnight phenom. And guess what? I will always think that these are the people who believes in work-life balance.
Yep.
Truly believe so. Like, okay, if you truly want to be successful and you tell yourself, yeah, but I'm not going to sacrifice my work-life balance. I'm going to do my 9 to 6. count your hours. Just count your hours. It's simple arithmetic, right? 8 times 5, 40 hours a week. If that's all you're going to invest in to be productive, to achieve your goals, you are at 25% potential, because the entire week has 168 hours. 40 divided by 160 is 25%. Assuming you are actually bloody working for 40 hours effectively. So your effective productive rate is so low. Your goals are so high. Arithmetic.
It doesn't matter. The math does not add. It does not compute.
Yeah. It doesn't. The other perspective that I can think about is sales. Everyone wants to be a master closer, right? Let's make it rain, baby. I can close. How much effort are you expending? How much effort are you like giving in for prospecting, understanding your account, upselling, selling something new, exploring new market, penetration? All these things don't give you direct commission, but you need to do it. Where are you gonna find the time? Oh no. I'm just gonna work on the productive stuff because I'm on work-life balance. I only close. Do you think you're gonna be a rainmaker? I have my doubts, severe doubts, right? Just go on the office treadmill and just grind for your 9 to 6. And I want to say this, just before I get misunderstood, it's perfectly fine. We all have to make a choice in life. It's perfectly fine. It's just that 10 years, 12 years, 15 years later, when your peers are really successful, please, shut the F up. Don't complain. Shut the F up. I've heard enough of those. It's like, oh.
I'm starting to hear a few concepts here, right? A few words that are thrown around so far about sacrifice and success, right? These two concepts, because when you talk about work-life balance, work-life integration, to all those who are currently locked down, you probably are forced to work-life integrate. Everything in the house, everything happening at the same time, right? So I think we need to define, in a way, right? What does success look to you, to everyone? It's again about perspective. Different people have different definitions of success. And then with that goal or the success you have in mind, what are you prepared to sacrifice, right? In terms of time, in terms of what you are giving up, in terms of this and that, right? So it's like what Aldric mentioned. I saw one of these memes on Facebook or whatever, right? Somebody who's an influencer, and then some guy asks him or her, oh, how do you get so influential? How do you become so successful? So this guy is saying that all the time you are courting girls, and on Netflix I was working hard, 24/7. That's how I got there. So that in itself is a concept of success versus sacrifice. What do you put in, right? Mm-hmm. And then there's this there's something that's going around the internet. This Victorian, this very successful guy. His graduation speech was that he worked so hard, year 1, year 2, year 3, he sacrificed everything, and after he became tops, that first 16 seconds he felt happy, but after that it was like, oh, my life just passed. The best years of my life in school. I gained success, but what did I sacrifice? So there are all these concepts that are sort of countering that. You need to sacrifice a lot, or what is success to you? Maybe what you're chasing after you got it is not what you want. Hence all this example of Steve Jobs and all that. So I think really, what does success look to you? I think that you have to define for yourself, and what you are willing to sacrifice, and there comes the work-life balance. I mean, that's how I see it. That's my take, because these two concepts, what do you guys think?
That's really good. I agree with Jeremy. I think also it changes throughout your life, right? We go through seasons, and I remember when I was, I started as an entrepreneur at a very young age, so I graduated college, worked for one corporation, and then I got laid off. After I got laid off, I started a web development firm. And back then I was in my early 20s, and it was so different then. I I worked all the time because I could hustle. I could hustle till 3 a.m. and just work. And it didn't matter because it's either hanging out with friends who went to the bars or work. And I chose work. And back then, there was nothing else that it's like Jeremy said, that I would want to sacrifice. That means success. There was nothing else that I prioritized more, right? Because there was no other priorities, right? When I was young, the priority was, hey, let's make some money. Let's make a company. I didn't have a family. I didn't have a wife. And it's either go out to the bars, hang out, try to find a girlfriend, or work, But then seasons change, right? And then when I was in the corporate world, I gave a lot. I'm one of those guys, if I work 8 to 5, I give it all. Even if I'm underpaid, I try to do my best because I feel like I owe it to myself. Okay. But then I was under some bad leadership at times, where it's a complete turnoff, and it's like, okay, how much do I want to put in after work? When I know the ship's not going anywhere because the driver isn't going to take us anywhere, right? But then, I'm not going to complain about it. Then, I go through the season, I got married, and now I have kids, right? And of course, my kids are my everything. I don't mind if I lose everything, like financially, lost the company. Those aren't my priorities. It's them. Hey, what's their future? What's the legacy I'm going to leave behind? Am I going to be the dad they'll look up to? I don't want them to remember me as, hey, the guy that worked all the time, never play with them, hardly, So those are my perspective, and those are things I choose to sacrifice now is, hey, if I have to turn off the internet, not look at my phone, not work on J29 stuff, and go play with my kids, even though sometimes I really don't enjoy playing with my kids, if I'm going to just be honest there,
You're playing the wrong things.
they're 5 and 7, and it's really hard for both of us, even my wife, Jennifer, we work, we're career type people, and sometimes it's really hard to just go throw a ball or do something, when we know in the back of our mind there's other things that, there are other things in the business that needs our attention, but then we choose to sacrifice because those things matter, and so I think when it comes to work-life integration and work-life balance, it really depends. And I really like what Aldric said too. If you enjoy and you're passionate about what you do, then there's no such thing as balance because it should be just a part of you, right? I think there's this saying that if you found your passion and what you love doing, and every day is a vacation, right? So that's my take.
Okay.
Yeah, I think personally it's very situational because it's you kind of touched on it, Kevin, which is if you're at a place where you hate, then you're gonna strive for a work-life balance because you just hate the job. So you're like, oh, I just want to get off work and do anything but work because you're just that turned off by that specific position. And if it's the opposite and you really love what you do, then I think we've all shared this experience that you can be dialed in and working at 7 o'clock at night as opposed to 5 o'clock at night. Not that big a deal because you still enjoy what you do. So I think a lot of it has to do with the position you're in. If you're in a position you just hate, then yeah, that work-life balance thing does become a little bit more of a priority because you just hate what you do. You don't want to work.
Yep.
I think there are two extremes in which in that spectrum where work-life balance goes out the window. I've touched on the first one, right, which is a lot of sacrifice and fulfillment, and there's the other extreme, which is when your survival is at stake, you will not think about such things. If you are in your final year, your GPA doesn't look pretty, you don't want to repeat because you don't want to incur further student debt. You know you are fighting for every half a point just to get your GPA up. You're not going to think about work-life balance. You're not going to think about that. All you're thinking about, in the same way, you're super focused that I need to fight for every single half a point. Every single half a point. And if that means participating more in class, I'm going to talk more in class. If that means scoring more in exams, I'm just going to freaking prepare for my exams or my projects and things like that, right? Now, the flip side, outside of school, even in the professional arena, it works that way too. If your income is based on commissions and now you're at the point where you literally have to work to put food on the table, you will not be thinking about work-life balance. You will be thinking about how to close the next deal, how to close this account, how can I upsell so that I get that little bit more commission that I can have so that I can feed my young ones at home and my wife who's taking care of the young ones, right? Or my parents because they have a hefty medical bill. Do you seriously think this group of people will listen to you in a cafe talking about work-life balance, which is a first world topic? I don't think so. I don't think so. Literally, I have like mentees that is in Zimbabwe and South Africa. They don't talk about that. They rise and shine at 4:30. They study. They find part-time job. They apply for visas so that they can get overseas internships to Canada, US, Germany, because that's the ticket to them escaping poverty. They end their day 1 a.m. How many hours is that? That's fighting for survival. Am I so audacious to tell them that, hi, mentees, hey, you guys need to have some perspective and work-life balance? No, I don't. No. Like, okay, you guys are talking to me. Is this your lunchtime? Is this your dinner time? Is it fruitful? What are the topics? Make it fruitful for you. Okay, good. So we talk about dinner, right? Are you okay to talk to me over dinner instead of having dinner with family? Is that, yeah, fine, it's okay. So I think in some sense, right, there are different spectrums that we operate on and perspective. I think there are some people who truly do not need to have this topic thrown straight on their face to say you need work-life balance. No, if someone is like a gladiator fighting for his life, I'll get out of his way. Just don't fight me, right? Go. Just go. Take the bull by the horns. Do it. I'll be very happy for you. I'll cheer for you. Everyone else that's just passing judgments, dude, you need to take a beer. Dude, sleep more, you look like shit. Or like, dude, your eye bags are like you're so deep. You should have some moisturizer and things like that. But to the gladiator, hey, I don't care about all these. There's a bull in front of me. I need to survive, Like, before that thing kills me, I'm going to kill that thing first. Bloody and bout. Right? I think there's this saying by one of the US presidents, I think it was very good, is really like being involved in the moment, being in the arena, dirty and bout, and then like there are those that wrestle with their life and there are those that are spectators. Spectators will always be spectators. That's what I think.
Man, Aldric.
Man,
Aldric is going in tonight.
guys, if I'm gonna be
Aldric's on gladiator mode.
It's not because of you guys, I'm telling you.
This guy brought the weapons and the helmet and the gear.
Truth be told, if you're fighting for your survival, right? I would rather give you the tools and tell you how to use it so that you can survive, and not give you a beer and say, hey, come, let's chill. No, fuck it. You can do that next time. Come. This is your spear. This is your bow. This is your arrow. This is how you do it. Go. That's my choice.
I like it, Aldric.
That's good.
I like it. I just like how one-sided you are on this topic. There is no talk about it.
There's no balance to him.
I give you guys
no balance.
The option of either dropping this topic or dropping me as an anchor speaker for this episode, because I said my only goal is to decimate this. That's my
No, it's good.
You're good, man. I love it.
No, this is good. It brings balance to the group.
Yeah.
So you're like the extremists,
I'm gonna try and challenge that with a little personal story. Okay, I think in a way, Aldric is trying to say that work-life balance is a first world problem. If you're a third world problem, surviving for life, it doesn't exist. I tend to agree to that. But I want to go on the other side of the story, right? Like what Tim and Kevin said. If your work sucks, you're gonna try and find a different distraction to work hard on. Okay, So this sort of happened to me during my junior college days. That's what
Build a business.
17.
Build
Sorry?
a business after 6 o'clock. Do your own
No.
side gig.
No,
Yes, that matters, right? Not.
Okay, let me finish my story. So when I was in junior college, I don't know, is that equivalent to high school or pre-high school? 17, 18 years old. So I was in this top 3 junior colleges at that time. I thought I was smart, but everyone else was smarter than me. So what happened during those 2 years was I tried my best not to do anything that relates to studying. I joined the students' council. I was really happy organizing events for the school and all that, and I skipped classes. I did all of that, anything but study, But when time came to the crunch, I need to sit for my A-level papers. I worked hard for it, but I just could never get there. So I did really badly for my A-levels. So fast forward a couple of years more, I gained a bit of years of maturity after serving the military. I came out, 20 years old, 20 plus, and my options were limited. I couldn't get to a university because of my grades during A-level. So I took my A-level grades and went back to what we call here as a polytechnic. So when I was in polytechnic, it was the other way around, I did no extracurricular activities, no students' council, nothing. It was purely studying because, it's high time. I got my butt out to work and I need to get my diploma. I was burning my parents' money, I needed to be independent. So I woke up with my idea. I did not have fun. It was just studying. Learning for the top student, and I managed to get to top my class. My cohort. Oh no, not my cohort. My course. And in that sense, why I'm bringing up this story, in that sense, I feel that there is balance, because it's a matter of compensating later. Of course, some people might not compensate later, but I do feel that no matter what you're trying to do, no matter how passionate you are at your work, you put in the hours, I think at some point in your life, you will try and compensate back. If you have been spending the past 10 years carving up a career and then you've neglected your family, you try to compensate back, once you have that success, once you have some time. So I think there will be balance. It's a matter of when. It might not be a 9 to 5, 24 hours. I work 8 hours. I have 8 hours for my life and 8 hours sleep. It might not be balanced in that sense per day. But at some point in time in your life, you're going to realize that something is lacking because you sacrifice that and put something else priority, and then you try to make it back. But sometimes when that happens, you're not going to compensate well. For example, if your kids have grown up, that's it. You cannot wind the clock back. So that's one of my perspective I like to share. Nothing wrong with what you are saying, Aldric, but I do think at some point people will find ways to compensate because they realize suddenly there are other things that they have sacrificed, not put on priority, and they try to turn it back around once they've achieved what they want to do on another aspect. So that's my point of view on this.
That's good.
Definitely, it's a matter of perspectives, right? The thing is, if you truly have very exciting and impossible goals to meet, you'll be driven to a point of obsession where at this point in your life, when you're building it, the people around you cannot appreciate the sacrifice that you're putting in. But all they can do is, why are you doing this? It's not worth it, right? People cannot understand the sacrifice that you're putting in. And once you are done and you cross over, you can truly appreciate what other people can never imagine. I want to do that. So I'm going to kill myself every day today. And by the way, so just to that point, Jeremy, and I just want to end off with a quote that I'm an Asian, but there's one American president, Theodore Roosevelt. One of his sayings, his quotations really drive me when I'm very tired. I'm just going to read that, like a brief one. I just found them on the net. So it starts like this. It is not the critic that counts. Spectators, it is not the critic who counts. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, dirty and bowed by dust, sweat, and blood, who strives valiantly, earth, who comes short again and again and again, because there is no effort that can be computed without error and shortcoming. The man who is enthusiastic, greatly devoted, spends his time on a worthy cause, knows at best the triumph of high performance and achievement. If he fails, he knows he failed daring greatly. If he fails, he knows he failed daring greatly. His place will never be with those. His place will never be with those cold and timid. His place will never be with those cold and timid, who knows neither victory nor defeat. I love it.
No, it's a great quote. I mean, listen, I hear all of this, and it's funny because I can actually, as crazy as it sounds, I can agree with everybody's perspective on this, right? I hear 100% what Jeremy's saying. I also hear what Aldric is saying. That's why I say, to me, I think this whole thing is super situational, right? I'll give you a personal anecdote.
Absolutely.
My thing is, I've been in high-paying jobs that I hated, and I mean like top 5% earning jobs, and I hated it, and I couldn't wait to get home, but I was making great money, but I hated it, and I was miserable at home because I hated my job so much. So I'm really serious. Like, this is like reality. So
that is.
So I understand like Aldric's point, because in that moment I still hustled hard and did what I needed to do for survival to feed the family. But at the same time, on Jeremy's point, everything else lacked in my life because I hated my job that much. You know what I mean? So I think all of this is super situational. And if you're in a really bad situation, even if you wanted to be like Aldric and be like, I'm going to be a warrior and I'm going to be blood, sweat, and tears and I'm going to be in the arena, it doesn't matter, because you're going to hate yourself and your job and your family and everybody around you because you're just in that poor of a situation. And Kevin had said that earlier on, where you said, you have bad leadership, it can derail the whole operation. So, I mean, it's a funny topic because I can really actually see all sides of the coin on this one.
Yep. And I'm the same way.
You've been through all sides.
Yeah.
That's why you can see that, right? It's like the people who have been an employee, who have been a specialist, a small business owner, and now running a big business. That guy can see how different people are actually thinking, because at different point of his life, he has gone through that, right? So that is the complete perspective. It's not either or. It's really a matter of like, have you gone through that? I know what you're going through. I've been through. I mean, like, definitely there are jobs that I hate, and it's always like, but it gives me the money. If I go now, even though I don't really appreciate what I'm doing, then, but I don't know what do I want to do. That's the bigger problem. The bigger problem is not about the payroll. The bigger problem is I don't know what I want to do. Shit, man, what job should I apply for? I'll just stay here. Yeah. Right.
So I think this is a great time. Let's move on to the next question I have for the show today. I want to talk about, since we're talking about, these topics of work-life balance, right? And I think it's great for this time to just let the audience get to know us a little bit. So let's not talk about work, but let's talk about our hobbies. So, because I'm very interested in hearing what Aldric's hobbies are.
Yeah. Hold on, I gotta get some props.
Because there's no way he's just battling all day, right?
Let's start with Aldric.
I'm pretty obsessed with the kind of things that I do, right? So even when I'm watching TV, to me, even when I'm watching TV, it is Bloomberg, CNBC, financial news channel.
Man.
To me, that's entertainment.
Yeah. You don't watch Tiger King?
I surf the web too. I surf the web. But I don't go online like e-commerce platforms. I go and understand what J Powell is gonna say. Okay? Your central bank policies. It interests me. Like, wow. interest rates are like 5,000 year low. And then I'll start taking out my journal. I'll start like journaling like, what can I do when interest rates are like all-time low? Can I refinance? Can I borrow to build my business? Okay, that's very interesting. Can I close off some of my loans now so that I can have cheap financing? It intrigues me. It intrigues me, right? I read a lot. That's my form of entertainment. Is like I just have to pick a series of books. I don't read one book now. I pick a series of books, and then let's say one book is on marketing, which is a Seth Godin book. I could pick a Ray Dalio book, which is on finance, and then I pick another book, and then I read them like a tapestry. So if the finance guy is saying that this is bullshit and it involves marketing, I was like, okay, that's interesting. I'll take out a marketing book and say, I'll read, is this bullshit? Okay, no, not really. Okay, then I'll just keep going back and forth. So these are the kind of things that I do
for fun. For fun.
It is a matter of perspective.
Aldric is very clearly a money man. Let's just put it out there. He is a money man. No question.
Strictly money.
It's not always the case, yeah.
Listen, Aldric, you're gonna hear like we're on the same page about a lot of this stuff, but
no, that's
Tim. Show us your prop, Tim.
All right.
I believe in giving back in terms of sharing my life experiences as well. So I mean, like if you guys know the kind of content, the video that I've been posting on LinkedIn is really like when I graduated, it was 2008. I spoke a bit about how I navigated those years, and then the aftermath years, which is the 09, 10, and 11. Yesterday I talked about the .com and the .bomb era and things like that. I do that too, because I think there's going to be a huge growing population of graduates, undergraduates which are fresh this year, master's graduates that's going to come out this year, and all this is going to roll even into 2021. I'm deeply concerned for this group of people. You think about it this way, all around the world it's the same thing. We get into student loan debt just to ensure that we can have a good head start in our professional career. They are not getting it.
No.
I'm truly concerned about that. So those are the kind of things that I do. Let's say when I need to tone down a little, like if I've been talking for 8 hours at 9 and things like that, and then I'll be thinking about all these people, and I said, okay, fine, it's all right. I'll just shoot a 3 minutes video. If I don't feel like texting, I'll just shoot 3 minutes video, just share my experience. Those are the kind of things that I do. I mean, like, Tim, you can call me the money man and things like that. I'm not going to take out my cash and start counting. It's not. It's not the point.
I was hoping that was Aldric's prop. I thought that was Aldric's prop. He's gonna just open up a case of money.
No, listen. No, but you know what, Aldric, you're gonna find this funny, right? So I'm big into a lot of the same things. Like we've had talks about the stock market and things like that, right? And that's one of my hobbies. I'm not gonna get into that. That's a freaking 2-hour topic, easy, right? but like, needless to say, I'm with you on that. But one of the other things I do, like this right here.
Ooh.
You're what they call a sneakerhead. Yes. A sneakerhead.
Yes.
Ah.
So, now watch this, Aldric. See this?
Yeah.
This costs $120 and turns to $250 as soon as you buy it.
Yeah.
This thing right here.
Woo.
So, I'm with you on the money thing. It just looks different. But I'm with you on that. Like a lot of my hobbies have to do with money and money. So, that's what happens. So like I collect this stuff. I got other pairs here, but that's what I like. I like finding a sneaker that I can buy and hold and watch it appreciate. And it's cool too because it looks cool, right? So
how many pairs do you have, Tim?
So guys, you know who is the real rich one here?
I don't think I compare to you, Aldric, but I think collectible ones I have about 8 collectible.
Okay,
wow,
that's awesome.
So
that's awesome.
Now, other sneakers I have plenty more, but collectible ones I have about 8.
So I have a question for you, Tim.
Yeah.
So with the whole Michael Jordan Last Dance thing going on, does the Jordan shoes actually go up in value?
Yeah, they haven't really changed in value because let's put it this way: there's hundreds of Jordans, right? But there's only a select few that really make you money. You know what I mean? I can grab a pair of Jordans that you buy for 120 and they're worth 350. You know what I mean? But there's not every Jordan that you buy is like that. I also have a lot of Jordans that when you buy them, they either stay the same in value or they depreciate. And the key with all this, the collectible ones, you can't wear them. So
that's true.
You can't wear the collectible ones. The other ones, it doesn't matter. But the collectible ones, the minute you put it on, you just lost value. So that
makes sense.
That's
awesome.
my hobby.
What about you, Jeremy?
What about you? No, you go first. You might have
first?
you might have a hobby that involves money. Mine doesn't. So
mine doesn't involve money. So I actually enjoy playing basketball. So I play basketball.
Cool.
I'm with you.
So I actually enjoy going and playing. Nowadays I play old man pickup. So I play pickup games at the local church with older guys because I'm slower now. But I play basketball almost my whole life. So and it involves my competitive nature. So it's actually a great way for me to de-stress when I'm really stressed or I'm down or feeling burned out. I go out there on the court and I can just unplug. And what I like about basketball is I can't bring this thing with me. Yeah. So and it's truly off when I'm running on the court. I can't look at client questions, customer contact me. I truly have to put it aside. So I can go to the local gym, play for hours on the weekend, and it's awesome, right? And get some sweat in. So that's kind of my hobby, playing basketball. I enjoy, even playing with my kids, outside, doing outside activities where we're just out, we're taking walks and different things like that. So prior to my whole, J29 entrepreneur career thing, my hidden hobby. So I used to be a competitive natural bodybuilder. I don't look like it now, right? So I used to step on stage and compete and watch my diet and did all that stuff. So I did that all the way till my first big boy job when I started traveling, and then my boss was like, "You need to eat lunch with the the customers that you're with. You can't just eat cans of tuna and and bring your cooler everywhere." And that's when my bodybuilding career started going downhill because my boss was like, "Dude, people aren't comfortable with you, dude. You can't meet clients like that."
No.
And I was in like a sales job, right? And all these clients would sit across me, and I was young, and I care about my looks more than anything else. And then I got smarter. I was like, "Oh, this affects my commission."
No.
Like
you got tricked. You got tricked. It's just because your boss is saying that because you look better than your boss, and that's a no.
Yeah.
You got tricked, man.
Well, now so now we have a new hashtag for the show, Kevin Strong. Hashtag
Kevin Strong.
Could be. Awesome. You could explore that.
Yep. What about
My
you,
turn.
Jeremy?
Yeah, I'm gonna take the rest of the show talking about my hobbies. Yay! It's more than one. It's more than one. So I whatever Aldric said about video gaming totally resonated with me because that's like my top hobby since I was very young, with the Atari and then the Nintendo and then the Sega and now with all the PS4s and stuff, all that is me. I play everything. Video games is a huge part of my life. I'm going to talk about where's the value in that, right? So that's one major time waster that I have that doesn't make me any money. Dreamed about being a professional gamer. Not going to go anywhere because too old now. Reflexes are slow. I did a bit of basketball back in school. So maybe Tim, Kevin, we can play basketball. Aldric doesn't play, I know for sure. He just wants money. So,
but if you involve money, he'll play.
Aldric looks like he's got a mean 3-pointer. Like he just stand behind the key and just launch it.
Yeah, you could be right. He studies the trajectory and calculates the mathematical formula to hit a 3-pointer every time. That's what he does, right?
Guy. You guys got it wrong.
Well,
That's all right.
Aldric's version of basketball is called Moneyball.
No, I'm hearing. It's like someone is saying that they are playing all the video games, and I'm thinking, what video games can I sell now? I'm involved. I'm still involved.
Go on.
Okay.
Okay, so video games one. The other one is I watch a lot of movies, lot of movies. So for the past 3 or 4 years, on the last minute of the year, I will do a count of the new movies I watch every for the year. I think I'm averaging about 125 movies a year, new movies. So that's like one movie every 2-3 days. So I spend a lot of time watching movies. I think if I had to list another hobby, it would really be singing, karaoke.
Let's hear it.
Wow,
Hear it.
yeah.
No. Not here.
You can't say it and not do it. Like
No, not here. Singing has been it's been
my hobby. Come on.
Well, we can do a recording the next time we meet at a karaoke. Okay, so that one no problem. I need a professional sound setup and all that. So I want to really quickly touch on the value of hobbies. Just really to counter Aldric's point. It may sound like a bunch of BS. Hobbies. How can they help and contribute? So I was trying very hard to pivot it, and this is my best defense. Okay. So in terms of gaming, it really is the way I unwind. In the sense that I do think that gaming in my life has made me a little bit more creative as a marketing person. It's important also in the fact that it helped me professionally because I have been used to doing team building games. Gaming. It sort of helps me gamify things and think about mechanics of team building, scoring, and all that. So that helps. At the very least, it has taught me grit. In what sense? Like you mentioned, Aldric, you fight a boss, you fail, you try again. You don't stop till you finish. So that has taught me some values in life as well. In the current world, everything is so crazy, everything is so fluid. The rules change all the time. But video games is a place I can go and tell myself the rules are fixed. As long as you put in the hard work, you're gonna get there. So I need that bedrock in life to tell me that the world is crazy. Video games is a place I can go in and make sure that things are constant. At least they play by some rule. I need that mental sanity, and I find it in video games. Strangely enough, yeah. But bear with me. So movies. What movies has taught me? Oh, lots of things. But at the very least, storytelling, important in this time and place. As a marketing person, even more so. That's what movies have taught me. Last but not least, singing. Right. I've acquired sort of a language through singing. It's called Cantonese. Started learning Cantonese through singing. Jackie Chung. So I know Kevin and Aldric know who he is. So I actually picked up Cantonese from there. And of course, after learning a little bit of Cantonese there, I would look at more Hong Kong movies, learn a little bit more Cantonese, and I've been able to survive a little bit in Hong Kong in the native Cantonese language now. All thanks to singing and movies. So there you go, some value there in hobbies, right? Not about making money all the time.
Hey, but you know what you could do? You could flip speaking another language into money.
Oh yeah. Translations.
Yeah.
Or maybe I'll be an old pop star singing in Cantonese someday, and that will be where my money lies.
Hey, you know what, man? And this is funny about singing in the music industry. All the big boys now are in their 40s and 50s. If you really look at it, a lot of the people who
That's true.
still famous are in their 40s and 50s, and they're still very relevant and more relevant in a lot of cases than the 20s and 30s year olds.
Yeah,
unless you're like a Taylor Swift or somebody. But there's a lot of kids out there who aren't making it anywhere near
Did you just say Taylor Swift or something?
That's Tim's other hobby.
No,
I don't look.
no,
I don't look half like.
That's where Taylor Swift comes from.
I don't look half like Taylor Swift, man. Taylor Slow, maybe.
Yeah. No, I might need to shake it off, guys. You guys,
That's very good.
So that's my hobbies.
I think when we're talking about hobbies, right, important to also bring in the topic of, I think is a reality of life, right? At some point, all of us, we experience being burned out.
Mm-hmm.
It just happens. From a mental standpoint, no matter how, how driven you are, how physically, hey, you want to dominate, you want to just go get it, we get burned out. That's just the reality. At some point, you will burn out, throughout this journey. And it's how you cope with it, how you bounce back. And everyone's different, because we're all built different. We're all made different, right? And our minds are different. And, like for Aldric, it might be reading some books, right? Or just walking away and looking at stocks, right? For me, it's maybe getting out there, getting sweaty and play some basketball. Timothy, you might enjoy, picking up a pair of new shoes, and then Jeremy might be playing video games. But I think it's so important. I think that's where the balance comes in. Being able to understand and know yourself and what you need to never get into mental state of just giving up.
Mm-hmm.
I think the worst thing that anyone can do is to just don't care anymore and just give up. Mm-hmm. And I think while we're on the show, it's a serious topic because I don't want to talk about COVID-19, but with the way the pandemic is, even for business owners, it almost seemed like if you're a small business, it seemed like there's a dead end that we're hitting. And as much you can be driven, you can want to do all this stuff. If the opportunity's not there, you're really hitting a brick wall, right? Mm-hmm. And it's like, but then it's our minds that keep us going, right? So how do we be able to shift our mindset and stop focusing on fears and negativity and understand that, hey, we can keep moving, we can keep going on and changing our outlook and our perspective. And I think that's where hobbies come in. And I know a lot of people, while they're facing challenges and stress, the last thing you're thinking about is your hobbies, but sometimes you need to channel those feelings somewhere else, and it's like Jeremy said, he can play video games and that's not reality, right? He can get away, so that's kind of my thoughts on hobbies. And that's one thing about, I think, you can call it whatever, work-life balance, work-life integration, but it's more about how do you balance our mental state,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and one hobby we all share, and some of it's business, but some of it's hobby. We all share LinkedIn, and I mean that's what you were saying about like, hey, how do you kind of refocus and get away? I mean, for me, a lot of times, LinkedIn is a great refocus because people are always talking about business. And if you scroll it through your feed enough, you're going to find somebody that says something that you're like, all right, you know what? Let me get my shit together. So, that's why I enjoy LinkedIn, because I always like seeing other people's perspective, especially Aldric. Aldric's always bringing the goods, man. Aldric is always bringing the goods. No, I'm not saying this to be funny. Like, seriously, like Aldric is always bringing the goods. So
that's good.
I really enjoy seeing his posts, because if you're like, man, if you got something going on, but you read one of Aldric's posts, you're like, all right, I'm gonna kick the shit out of something right now. Let's go.
He brings out the gladiator in us.
But there's a reason that my followers aren't growing, because of all this hard stuff that I talk about, and nobody really likes to hear it. But anyway, that's a different point. The thing is this: when you are at the point where you become self-aware that you are burning out, right? I think take a step back and literally bootstrap what you have done. Why? Like which are the kind of things that you don't feel like doing now? And chances are it's not everything. Like when I'm tired, I still do my content posts. I still do it. But I know I don't want to reply to comments. I'm tired. Because there are some comments where, geez, what's that guy thinking? I don't want to second guess it because I respect it, you know. So I sort of figured that if that's the package, that's the post, and then the comments, and then I want to reply because I appreciate everybody's comments, right? If I'm not in the mood to do social media, I know it's because I don't want to reply to the comments. I'll reply tomorrow, but I'll still post because I know that the issue is not about me posting. So the point is this: I mean, in a broader message, if you're burning out, it's not everything. You got to find out what that thing is. You can pause that thing, but keep moving. You can pause that thing, but you keep moving, because the only asset that we have in life and we cannot buy back is time. The moment you stop, it goes. You have no control, right? Do you know when's your expiry date? I don't mind. Maybe 5-10 years down the road. I don't know that, but you know, like I just have this Achilles mentality where he knows already that he's gonna be killed in a battle of Troy. The battle is coming, and he is in a rush. He is in a rush to achieve as much as possible before, you know.
I totally get that, though. I totally get it. I get it, man. No, listen, everything is right now. I learned that from the car business, and you probably did too, Kevin, right? Yep. Everything is right now. It's right now. There is no tomorrow. If you're in front of me, I'm not gonna see you again. So everything is right now. So I absolutely get the mentality, Aldric, 100%.
Yeah. So my last question tonight, right? So define happiness, your own perspective of what you feel happiness is to you. You know, of course, we can't define it for other people, but for you. So, Tim.
Happiness for me is just having peace of mind. That's kind of it, right? And whether that's with income or my daughter or whatever the case is, happiness is peace of mind. If I can go to sleep at night without having 17 things on my mind, I'm good. And it's not easy. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I'm not gonna sugarcoat it and be like, "Oh, I'm happy all the time." Like, you guys see my post, I'm positive. That doesn't mean like everything is all good. Like, shit is all good in the hood. But that doesn't stop me from, you know, being positive for everybody else. You know what I mean? But happiness for me, like I said, when there's less stress and there's more peace of mind, then that's when I'm like, all right, cool, let's do this. So that's happiness.
Good. What about you, Aldric? Okay, Jeremy.
Oh, happiness. It's a good one. Thought about the question actually. I do think I'm kind of a happy guy, I hope. I always think that happiness is a skill. I've seen it written somewhere, and I do quite agree with that, because it's that switch in your head. It's also about perspective, because shit can happen, but how do you want to see it can make you really unhappy or make you happy. How you react to things can make the situation really happy or unhappy, whatever that situation is, right? So I think happiness, firstly, is a skill, but to me, I'm not always happy. Sometimes I find it hard to flip the switch to the happy switch. I don't do drugs. No, that's not what I mean. The happy pill, no, none of those. Because it's a skill, it's a state of mind. I do think that we all have the skill to mind trick ourselves to be happy. So maybe happiness isn't that hard to achieve. But if I have to define it for myself, I think really being happy is about contentment. You know, be happy with what you have, gratitude, and all that builds into happiness. Yeah, maybe with this whole virus situation, a lot of people feel that, you know, less is more. Happiness doesn't revolve around how much money you have in your bank account, how much less work you have, that vacation or that Gucci bag. I don't know. It could mean different things to different people. But to me, it's about being contented. Yeah, you're never going to be the richest guy. You're never going to be the smartest guy. You're never going to be the one with the best family or define best, right? So what does that mean then? Happiness. If I really have to put it into perspective, happiness is when I'm on my deathbed taking my last breath. I look back at my life and I think that wasn't bad. I can close my eyes and go off. That's happiness.
I'll use I think I'll use one of the words that you just did, which is big, but it's not that big. For me, different time horizons, right? Day to day, my absolute happiness is knowing that when I get to bed, I collapse immediately. Why? Now that's an observation, so everyone else can see, oh, I collapse immediately. But the point before that is I have given my absolute all during my waking hours.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm tired. Maybe I'm not that happy, but I know that I've contributed to the max that I can. Right? So that's one thing. Not exactly happiness, but I think I'm gonna get there. Now, if I pull the timeline longer, I think retail happiness in small pockets of time, it works time to time, but you know that you're not gonna get satisfaction over time. So I don't look at happiness in retail pocket type of happiness. I look at fulfillment, right? And in order to do that, I know it's really like there are little telltale signs, like, you know, when I wake up in the morning, I can feel super motivated, or I can feel like, geez, I need 1 or 2 more hours of sleep. But the moment I check, like there are things coming in, and then suddenly my fire come back again, I'll get out. I know that that's the kind of thing that will keep me going and will make me like happy, fulfilled. I think fulfillment is a higher order, right? Happiness sometimes it's too individual, and sometimes it does not channel into good ways that benefits us in the long run, us as in our character, personal development. So I would rather just collapse into bed every night. That's how I see it. And if I don't, I'll have some doubts, like, what the hell have I been doing all day? Like, huh? Like, yeah. So that's me. Fulfillment.
No, that motivation does lead to happiness. I agree with you. Like when you're excited and you're like enthusiastic, you do feel happier than, you know, if you just wake up and you're like, what am I gonna do today? So I agree with you. I like having that. Oh, today's journey is X, Y, and Z, and then you accomplish something. You're like, yes, that's happiness and excitement. I'm with you.
And I think for me, you know, I do agree with all of you. You know, I think it's so important. I think happiness is defined by our perspective. So I pick a word every year. So in 2019, it was intentional. And then in 2020, it was funny because I didn't know about the pandemic, right? When I picked the word back during Thanksgiving in November. And it ended up being perspective, you know? And so one of the things, me maybe is the Asian part of me, and you can attest to it, Aldric, Jeremy. I like calculated risk type personality. I like to calculate everything. And I'm one of those people that are more, I am very much, I get stressed easily when all my ducks aren't in a row, right? But after I marry my wife, so I can give her credit for this, she's taught me to be a little more like, you have to have faith, right? You can't calculate everything, right? You know, and there's going to be things that are outside your plans and your strategy, you know, because I strategize everything, right? So and it leads to unhappiness, you know, a lot of times because you don't always hit, you know, your goals and measurements and different things. But as we've been married for 10 years, you know, I've learned to relax and not be as, you know, just have faith, right? And I started changing my perspective. And when my perspective changed, you know, that stress count goes away, you know. You only feel stress when, yes, you have to pay your mortgage, but who tells you you have to pay your mortgage, right? You don't pay your mortgage, you just lose your house, right? You lose your house and you might have to downgrade to live in an apartment or something, right? Or government housing, who knows, okay? But it's not, as long as you have your last breath, you still have your mind, you still have your ability to work, you know, and you can change those things. And so this 2 years ago, I found out my mother had Alzheimer's.
Oh,
So she has Alzheimer's, and I grew up with my mother, and and I started seeing her mind go away. And to me, those are some of the scariest things. I think it's easy to be happy as long as we still have our mind. We still can take our last breath, and our loved ones are healthy, right? But besides that, everything else really doesn't matter, right? It's just it's defined by your perspective, right? A lot of those things don't matter because you can still change the outcome. As long as you have your mind, you have your abilities, you can change those things. And I think that kind of helps me become a more happy person because I started to see the positivity in life, that we can live a little bit, and you can't plan everything, and you just have faith in the hand that's dealt to you. Like even with today's situation, we're stuck at home, the economy's falling apart, right? But then, hey, I'm at home more with my kids than ever. Usually I wake up 7 a.m. I'm off to the company. I go work there. I might not come home till 8 p.m. And by then I might have an hour with my kids before they go to bed. So the perspective is, hey, now I have more time with them, right? Because now I'm truly work integration into my home, right? So I can look at the positivity that's happening with the fires. I'm saving gas, I looked at the amount of savings I'm saving on gas. I'm saving on eating out. So there's other positivity that's happening. I get to do this with you guys, because I might have not started the show if the pandemic didn't happen, right? Because I'm too busy, but then, now we started this. I'm like, this is awesome. This is amazing. And it's kind of like a new hobby, that we can get together and connect no matter where we are. So I think those are things that bring me joy and happiness. Yeah.
Can I just do one pre-closing kind of a perspective? I think for all of us now who still as working population, we need to start really seeing what's happening in the broader environment, which is hidden in plain sight. It's very interesting. It's hidden. People are telling you, but it's hidden in plain sight, right? Look at the first telltale sign. Look at what happened to Greece in 2014. Pensioners, the people that are retiring in 2014, their pensions had a 60% haircut because their country borrowed themselves to destruction. And the reason for that happening is that the financiers, which is Germany and France, refused to allow Greece to default on the money that they borrowed. So who paid the price? Pensioners, right?
Yep.
Now you might say, Europe. Let's look at the US. Look at all the pensions that are public and private, and look at the percentage in which they are unfunded. The best one, I think it's 40% funded, and there are some that has already been bankrupt. Now my point is this: when we reach this age of retirement and we look, there's nothing left. All those money that are contributed, right? In Australia, it's superannuation, or Canada, whatever nonsense that you want to call it, it's the same thing. We keep putting money in, and when we retire, there's nothing left. What are you going to tell your kids who's now working? Take care of me, I'm old. I can't find a job anymore. Okay, I'm broke. Take care of me. Then think about this in a domino way. Isn't this the biggest Ponzi scheme ever? Right? So I'm very big on fulfillment because I don't think we should rely on this idea of retirement anymore. In fact, we have to love what we do so that we can continue doing what we do, so that we don't become one of the other families that's creating immense stress on society.
Yep.
On society, to our descendants as well as taxpayers. I hate to say this. Look at the amount of stimulus that's going on in Europe and in US. These are not from reserves. These are debt. The taxpayers foot the bill. Do you want to be one of them next time? I mean, to the broader audience, I don't want to be one of them. I want my life. But in order to do that, please figure out what keeps you fulfilled and keep punching, right? If you are going on the 9 to 6 route, I think that era will eventually come to a close. We are on a very big inflection point in our society. We really have to think about it. That's really how I would do a pre-close. I know I'm a little too audacious, but that's what I think.
No, I mean, you just took it deep. But listen, I mean, I'm going to say this about this topic, and you and I are very much eye to eye on this. I do not, first of all, I took control of my retirement a little bit ago, and we've talked.
That means no 401ks, right?
No. You know what? The thing about 401ks, we're already over time, so I'm not gonna take too much time with this. If you're in a 401k, use it for the company match, but still manage it. Don't just let the money sit there, right? But even beyond that, I agree with you 1,000,000% about, okay, look, we all are individuals. Take your individuality, use it, fuel yourself. Come to an end where you're going to look 10 years from now and say, okay, can I start to build wealth? Don't just sit and wait. Like you said, I'm just going to punch the clock 9 to 6 and I'm going to make my 70K a year. And that's great. But what does that look like 30 years from now? Is that enough? For most people, especially in the US, it's not. It's not. If you have a mortgage, it's not. You'll have your mortgage, and at the end, you'll have your mortgage paid off in a little bit, and that's it. And you're still, like you said, at a certain point, the money runs out, and you go to your kids and say, "I need you to take care of me." And I mean, I just lived it. I don't want to give the old gory details, but I just lived it. It was ugly. So I mean, and not with my own parents. So I'll keep it at that.
At the end of the day, it's a choice, right? It's a choice. At the end of the day, it's a choice. Would you want 10, 20 years later to be footing the bill for your own family as well as everybody else's parents? Okay, I know I sound very ruthless here, but the fact is this. The fact is this. You don't want additional indebtedness that is incurred by someone else on your behalf, and you are footing the bill, right?
Yes.
If you are the one who incur and you foot the bill, by all means, it's not my problem.
Right.
But don't pollute that community pool, right? Because as more and more people retire and as more and more people with the 9 to 6 mentality becomes needy, and they need all sorts of social programs, fiscal stimulus, and whatsoever. The question is this. And then what?
Yep.
Who is gonna get it? Who?
Your kids.
Right. You wouldn't want your kids to be the one paying 70% tax the first month of their first job. You wouldn't want it, right? So please don't do it.
Yep.
Find what excites you. Do whatever you can. I think that's really very important, and that fits into my overall picture of this topic of work-life balance.
And I agree with Aldric and Tim both because, I took care of, so my parents were entrepreneurs. So my father owned restaurants when we came to the U.S. My father in 2007 died of cancer, right? So he was typical Chinese immigrant where he didn't really invest and he just believed in working hard and saving money, right? But when he passed away, there was nothing left, I mean, there was some, but not enough, right? So I ended up taking care of my mother, most of my life, right? She even lived with Jennifer and I, even when she had Alzheimer's, right? Because they didn't plan for their future, really, right? They just worked, And I think I really like the idea of creating wealth, right? Creating wealth isn't just working. It's being able to learn how to increase, your assets and your, what you're investing in, right? It's not just putting in the 9 to 5, right? It's getting to a point where you aren't dependent on other people. You're not dependent on just your boss. You're not dependent on the outcome of society or government and all that stuff. And I think this is a good way to end because it leads to our topic for next week. Okay. And I believe it's episode 8 is what dreams versus reality, right? Because I think a lot of us live in a life where we live in this dream world, right? Mm-hmm. And especially with social media and digital marketing, you might feel a certain way because you have a bunch of followers or you have a lot of people engaging in your content, but then behind the screens, you're not happy. You're just living in your dream world. And then there is the reality, and that's what we're going to talk about next week. And hope the audience can join us. It's going to be fun. And we get some insights from Aldric, Tim, and Jeremy. And hey, if we can find a guest, we might have a guest as well. So yeah, it was good times. So today we definitely went over almost an hour and a half.
Okay.
But it was a great time. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you all.
See you guys.
Thank you, everyone.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.